the next one that we wanted to discuss was, and I really want to talk about the applications first before we talk about the product, because I feel like that's really what this is all about. There are multiple ways to produce an application, but in the sense of this one, the water-resistant satin cloth, I feel like it's such a unique product, and it's something that LexJet has been carrying for at least for more than I think about 18 years at least. It's been around forever. And it could be used for so many different things, from something being backlit or in a banner stand, to tapestries. Let's jump into that, and maybe, Pete, tell me a little bit about, your thoughts on the applications for water resistant satin cloth, maybe some ways that you've seen it used. And then Dave, obviously, follow up on that. That'd be great.
My favorite application that I've seen, and Dave talks about it a lot, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but I have seen a lot of where these were used kind of as hanging banners from the rafters. Like, I've seen schools where they'll actually, if they retire a player's jersey or number, they'll actually print it on this and put a dowel rod and hang it, so it'll be looped over, and they'll use our free layout plus so that it lays out as an A-frame basically, and then just put a little tiny weight at the bottom and then raise that, and it's fantastic. I've seen weddings where they'll have the bride and groom picture hanging, all kinds of neat applications, because it's lightweight enough that it's easy to raise, and it doesn't take much weight at the bottom to keep it taut. It's typically when you get into something that you're going to raise up, people are thinking of like heavy fabrics and heavy canvases and stuff like that that have curl, and they need a lot of weight to keep them tense. This is so light that it barely takes any weight. I mean, you can take a paper clip at the bottom of it, and it's enough weight just to keep it nice and tense in terms of down weight. But then on top of that, the printing capabilities of how beautifully it prints, how good it looks. He's going to show an example in a minute. There's so many applications just from a hanging from the rafters type, walking into conventions. A lot of times when you walk into these huge conventions, as you're walking through, they'll have signs kind of hanging down from the ceiling telling you where to go. This is aisle 103. This is aisle 104. Just those aisle markers hanging down from the ceiling. This is the perfect material for something like that.
Yeah, I'll kind of jump in. So, what's interesting is my first exposure to this product was actually someone from LexJet, I can't remember who it was, they had bought a brand new printer, and the printer did not get there in time. And this guy had promised some banners to be up at a wedding. And you guys literally overnighted me a 44-inch wide version of this. And the photographer sent me the bride and the groom's photos. And so, I used our free layout plus to lay them out, literally within, no exaggeration, 5 seconds, I'm printing these out. And I was just blown away. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite products, period. Just because how nice. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of stand up here. When you take a look at it, as Pete talked about, I'm just putting my fingers in here, right? Look how nice that lays. And I asked the gentleman, what's your plan? And he's like, all I'm planning on doing is just putting a paper clip at the bottom just to keep it together. And frankly, he was like, well, what? He was, I have different colored paper clips. And when you take a look how that lays, I mean, almost you don't even have to do it because it just lays so nicely, right? Because, my fingers are about the width of a dowel rod you have to use. But the fact I don't even have my fingers going completely through this, just on the edges. So it shows that strength and durability and just complete tear resistance. And even if you kind of take this up and, turn it in the ball, it just, again, it's unbelievable. It truly is. It's one of my favorite products. I love to show it. I wear LexJet out, always asking for this product. I've always got it here. I send samples out. I know I've sold a ton of this material for you guys throughout the years, but this is amazing. And if someone doesn't have this, they should get it. It's just one of those things you need to have on your shelf.
It's just a good media just to have on standby. I mean, because you just never know what you're going to run into, where this is the perfect application for.
And a little bit like you kind of started out with, right? Because, again, I wish I had my my camera set up on a tripod here, but I'm putting this against the window. It literally looks like it's,
Yes.
it's backlit. It's a great backlit material too. So you kind of talked about an application, Sean, when we were.
Yes, that's what I was about to mention. Yeah, Pete, Dave, and I, before we began today, we're just, kind of running through, the products we were going to talk about today, with all of you. And while we were talking about the satin cloth material, I was, remembering an application that a customer ran for a gallery exhibit, and they used they basically gallery wrapped the water-resistant satin cloth, on a wood frame, and I believe it was using the Go Frame system. I could be wrong on that. Either way, it was wrapped. And then they had LED lights that they put in behind, basically put those on the wall. The canvas went over the top, and then the light would be on behind. And I can't remember if it was press on, remote controlled. Obviously, I would use remote controlled at this point, readily available. But it just became this beautiful, gallery wrapped backlit print, just luminous, really, really well done. So really, this material is one that I don't want to say the applications are limitless or the ideas are limitless, but it's pretty close with what you can do with it. So
yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's really amazing product.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you learned about some great applications for LexJet water-resistant satin cloth. If you have any questions, please contact a LexJet customer specialist at 800-453-9538 or visit LexJet.com.